You are sitting in the quiet of the night, and the world feels far too heavy to hold. Outside your window, the city hums with an indifferent energy, and inside, your mind mimics that restlessness. There is a familiar weight in your chest, a knot of responsibilities, the echoes of words spoken throughout the day, and the cold, sharp edges of tomorrow's uncertainties. You feel as though you are standing on a crumbling shore, trying to hold back the tide with your bare hands. It is an exhausting labor, this attempt to keep everything in its place, to ensure that nothing breaks and no one is disappointed. We tell ourselves that if we just think harder, if we worry a little longer, we might finally gain a grip on the chaos. But the secret that the night whispers, and that the Stoics knew so well, is that life feels chaotic only because we are trying to grasp what was never ours to hold. This moment, right here, is where we stop fighting the ocean. This is where the journey into stillness begins. Consider the sheer amount of energy we spend resisting the flow of things as they are. We treat life like a problem that must be solved, rather than an experience that is unfolding. When things don't go according to our plans, we feel a sense of personal betrayal, as if the universe has broken a promise it never actually made. We wake up expecting the world to be predictable, and when it reveals its true, wild nature, we suffer. Epictetus, born into the chains of slavery but possessing a mind of infinite freedom, taught that our primary task is to distinguish between what is ours and what is not. We suffer not because the world is chaotic, but because we have tied our peace to things that are as fickle as the wind. As you breathe now, acknowledge the exhaustion of that struggle. It is okay to admit that you cannot control the wind. It is a relief to realize you don't have to. Imagine your mind is like a clear, dark pool of water. When you try to control external events, it is as if you are throwing heavy stones into that pool. The ripples collide, the sediment rises from the bottom, and the clarity is lost. We spend our lives throwing stones, hoping that eventually the water will become still because of them. But stillness does not come from the stones we throw, it comes from the moments when we stop throwing them. Stoicism is not about having a heart of stone, it is about having a mind like the sky, vast, open, and unaffected by the clouds that drift through it. The clouds of traffic, of difficult conversations, of financial worries, they are all passing through. They do not belong to the sky. And they do not have to belong to you. There is a subtle, pervasive illusion that if we worry enough about the future, we are somehow preparing for it. We think of our anxiety as a shield, believing that the person who expects the worst is the best equipped to handle it. But Seneca, the wise statesman, observed that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. While we lie here, our minds are busy fighting ghosts, scenarios that haven't happened, words that haven't been said, and disasters that may never arrive. This mental wandering is a thief. It steals the only thing you actually possess, this breath, this moment of quiet, this soft bed. The Stoic secret to calm is the realization that the future is a shadow, and you cannot fight a shadow. You can only come back to the light of the present. We often feel out of control because we have confused our preferences with our requirements. We prefer to be healthy, we prefer to be successful, we prefer for those we love to be safe. These are natural, beautiful desires. But the moment we turn these preferences into requirements for our happiness, we become hostages to fortune. We give the world permission to break our hearts. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, reminded himself every morning that the world would be full of obstacles, ungrateful people, and sudden changes. He didn't say this to be cynical, he said it to be free. He understood that his internal peace was a fortress, and while the storms might rage against the walls, they could only enter if he opened the gate. Let go of the need for an outcome. This is perhaps the hardest lesson of all. We are trained from birth to be results-oriented, to look at the end of the road rather than the step we are taking. But the Stoic archer knows that once the arrow leaves the bow, the hit or miss is no longer up to him. He takes pride in the draw, the aim, and the release. Whether the wind takes the arrow or it finds its mark is a matter for the gods, or for fate, or for chance. When you lie down to sleep, you are releasing the arrow of your day. It has already left the bow. You cannot pull it back, and you cannot steer it further. Let the tension leave your shoulders. The release is your only duty. There is a profound dignity in acceptance. It is not passive surrender or a sign of weakness, it is an act of supreme strength. To look at a difficult reality and say, "This is what is happening, and I will meet it with composure," is to reclaim your power from the situation. Resistance is what creates the friction that burns us. When we stop saying this shouldn't be happening and start asking how shall I respond, the world suddenly feels less like an enemy. The chaos hasn't changed, but your relationship to it has. You are no longer a leaf being tossed by the gale, you are the air itself, allowing the gale to pass through you without leaving a scratch. As you move closer to sleep, feel the weight of the shoulds falling away. I should be further along. I should have done more. I should be better. These are all attempts to control a past that is already solidified into stone. You cannot carve it into a different shape tonight. What you can do is forgive yourself for being human, for being a creature that is subject to the laws of nature, to fatigue, and to the limits of influence. The Stoics found peace because they stopped trying to be gods. They accepted their humanity, their mortality, and their smallness in the face of the cosmos. And in that smallness, they found an immense, quiet freedom. Quietly, within yourself, define the boundaries of your empire. Your empire consists of your opinions, your intentions, and your own actions. Everything else, the economy, the opinions of others, the weather, the traffic, the past, and the distant future, lies outside your borders. It is foreign territory. You may visit it, you may observe it, but you do not need to govern it. When you try to rule what is outside your borders, you leave your own palace unguarded. Tonight, come back home. Retreat to the fortress of your own mind. The doors are heavy, the walls are thick, and inside, there is a fire burning in the hearth. Here, you are safe. Here, everything is exactly as it needs to be. The night is not a void, it is a space for recovery. It is the time when the world stops demanding things from you. You do not need to be productive now. You do not need to be right. You do not even need to be calm, you only need to allow yourself to be. As the philosophy of the ancient masters settles into your mind, let it act like a cool balm on the fever of your day. The universe is vast, ancient, and wise. It has survived much worse than your current worries, and it will carry you through this night just as it has carried the stars for eons. Close your eyes to the external world, and open them to the internal landscape of peace. You are holding nothing now. You are simply here. The transition from the noise of the day to the silence of the night is often where the mind becomes loudest. It is the moment when the body is still, but the thoughts begin to race, replaying the events of the afternoon or pre-building the obstacles of tomorrow. We feel a sudden, sharp need to be in control of our destiny, as if by gripping our pillows tighter, we could stabilize our lives. But Stoicism invites us to look at this restlessness as an architect looks at a building. Most of our anxiety is built on sand, on the shifting opinions of others and the unpredictable whims of fortune. Tonight, we are going to clear away the debris and find the bedrock. We are moving from the fragile world of what might happen to the solid foundation of what is within. Epictetus often spoke of the open door. He reminded us that we are never truly trapped by our circumstances, only by our interpretations of them. If a room is smoky, you can choose to stay and endure it, or you can walk out the door. The smoke in our lives is often the external chaos we cannot change, the difficult boss, the rising costs, the global uncertainty. We cannot stop the smoke, but we can change where we stand. We can choose to stop breathing it into our souls. As you lie here, imagine the door to your inner sanctuary. It is a heavy, silent door that you can close against the world. Nothing can pass through it without your consent. In this room, the air is clear, and the noise of the world is a distant, meaningless hum. Consider the Stoic concept of amor fati, the love of one's fate. It is a radical idea, to not just tolerate what happens, but to embrace it. When everything feels out of control, we tend to fight reality, wishing it were different, wishing we were somewhere else. But this wish is a leak in our energy. When we love our fate, we treat every event as a necessary ingredient in the alchemy of our character. The obstacle is not in the way, the obstacle is the way. The very things that feel like they are breaking you are actually the tools that are forging you. Tonight, stop wishing for a different life. Embrace the one you have, with all its cracks and shadows. It is the only place where your peace can actually live. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, Be like the promontory against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. You are that promontory. The world is the water, restless, changing, and often violent. But the water has no power to change the nature of the rock. It can only wash over it. When you feel overwhelmed, it is because you have forgotten your own density. You have started to believe you are the foam on the wave, rather than the stone beneath it. Breathe into your weight. Feel the gravity pulling you into the bed. You are solid. You are grounded. The waves may come, but they must eventually recede. You remain. There is a great calm in the realization that you do not need to have an opinion on everything. We live in an age that demands we judge every event, every person, and every headline. This constant judging is exhausting. It keeps the mind in a state of high alert. The Stoic practiced the art of suspended judgment. They saw that an event is just an event. It is neither good nor bad until our mind labels it so. A delay is just time. A loss is just a change. Tonight, give your mind a vacation from being a judge. Let things be exactly as they are without adding your labels to them. When you stop judging the world loses its power to upset you. We are often tormented by the fear of losing what we have. We cling to our status, our possessions, and even our relationships with a desperate grip, forgetting that everything in the universe is on loan to us. Stoicism teaches us to enjoy everything deeply, but to hold it lightly. Think of the people and things you love not as permanent fixtures, but as guests in the house of your life. When a guest leaves, you are grateful for the time they stayed, but you do not fall into despair because the visit has ended. This held lightly approach doesn't make life colder, it makes it more precious. It removes the fear of loss, leaving only the warmth of gratitude. Anxiety is almost always a conversation about a time that does not exist. It is a ghost from the future haunting the present. Seneca reminds us that nothing is so certain as that which is uncertain. When we try to plan for every possibility, we are trying to map a landscape that is constantly shifting. The Stoic solution is not to plan more, but to trust yourself more. You have survived every uncontrollable thing that has happened to you so far. You have a 100% success rate of making it through your hardest days. That strength is not out there in the future, it is in you right now. You don't need to know what's coming to know that you can handle it. The body knows a truth that the mind often forgets, that there is a time for the harvest and a time for the fallow. You are in the fallow time now. The seeds of your efforts are buried in the dark, and no amount of worrying will make them grow faster. In fact, the soil needs the darkness to do its work. Your rest is not a luxury, it is a vital part of the natural cycle. When you surrender to sleep, you are practicing the ultimate Stoic virtue of harmony with nature. You are admitting that you are part of a larger rhythm, a rhythm that includes the setting sun and the rising moon. Trust the rhythm. Trust the dark. Imagine your worries as birds circling above you. They are loud, they are distracting, and they seem to demand your attention. But you are the mountain they are flying over. You do not need to reach up and catch them. You do not need to argue with them. You only need to remain still. Eventually, the birds will grow tired and find another place to land. You, the mountain, are unaffected by their flight. Feel the height and the depth of your own being. You are too vast to be troubled by the small movements of the day. The night is your witness. You are at peace. As the darkness deepens, let the boundaries of your body dissolve into the quiet of the room. You are no longer a person with a list of tasks, you are a presence. You are the stillness at the center of the turning wheel. The philosophy of the ancients is not a set of rules, but a way of breathing. It is the deep, steady exhale of a soul that has finally stopped trying to control the uncontrollable. You have done enough. You have been enough. The world is in the hands of fate now, and you are in the hands of sleep. Let go of the rope. Fall into the deep, supportive dark. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control the weather, we can always control the sails. Most of us spend our lives shouting at the wind, exhausted by the fact that the storm refuses to listen to our commands. We feel a sense of profound injustice when things don't go our way, as if our efforts should somehow buy us immunity from the chaos of existence. But the fortress of the mind is built on a different logic. It is built on the understanding that your inner world is the only territory where you are truly sovereign. Tonight, as the external world fades into the shadows, we are returning to that kingdom. We are stepping off the stormy deck of the ship and into the quiet, unshakable center of the lighthouse. Epictetus often spoke about the correct use of impressions. He suggested that when a troubling thought enters your mind, you should greet it at the door and say, "You are only an impression, you are not the thing you represent." When we feel out of control, it is rarely because of the event itself, but because of the story we tell ourselves about the event. We see a challenge and call it a disaster. We see a change and call it a loss. Tonight, as you lie in the stillness, look at your worries not as facts, but as guests who have arrived without an invitation. You do not have to believe them. You do not even have to entertain them. You can simply watch them sit in the hallway until they decide to leave. The Stoic sages practiced something called premeditation of evils. It sounds dark, but its purpose was the opposite. It was the path to ultimate fearlessness. They would sit in the morning and imagine everything that could go wrong: loss, illness, or criticism. They did this not to dwell in misery, but to realize that even in the worst-case scenario, their character could remain intact. They found that the monster in the dark is always smaller than our fear of it. As you breathe slowly, realize that you have already survived your worst days. You are still here. The future cannot take away your ability to be patient, to be brave, or to be kind to yourself. You are prepared for whatever the dawn brings, simply because you are you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the soul becomes dyed by the color of its thoughts. If we spend our days in a state of frantic control, our inner life becomes jagged and gray. If we cultivate acceptance, it becomes deep and calm. Control is a tight, constricted state. Acceptance is a wide, open state. Think of your mind tonight as a vast, dark cathedral. It is so large that even the loudest thunder outside is reduced to a soft murmur within. You are not the noise, you are the space in which the noise happens. You are the silence that was there before the noise began and will be there long after it ends. We are often held captive by the desire for the world to be fair. We believe that if we are good people, we should be rewarded with a smooth life. But the Stoics saw the world as it is, a complex machine of cause and effect that doesn't care about our notions of fairness. This realization is not a tragedy, it is a liberation. When you stop expecting the world to be fair, you stop being a victim of its unfairness. You become an athlete in the arena of life. An athlete doesn't complain that the training is hard, they understand that the hardship is the point. Tonight, let go of your grievances. The world is doing what it does. You, meanwhile, are doing what you do, remaining calm, remaining centered, and resting. Consider the virtue of temperance, the ability to find the middle ground in a world of extremes. When everything feels out of control, our emotions tend to swing like a pendulum, from panic to exhaustion. Temperance is the hand that gently stops the pendulum. It is the realization that no external event is worth the price of your inner peace. Whether the news is good or bad, your center remains the same. You are like the deep ocean. While the surface may be whipped into a frenzy by a storm, the depths are cold, quiet, and utterly still. Sink into those depths now. Leave the surface behind. Anxiety often tells us that we must be ready for the future, but Stoicism tells us we must be present for it. You cannot live tomorrow today. Every ounce of energy you spend trying to solve a Tuesday problem on a Monday night is energy stolen from your recovery. Seneca noted that we are not given a short life, but we make it short by wasting it on things that don't matter. What matters now is the weight of your body against the mattress. What matters is the cool air in your lungs. What matters is the transition into the dream world. Everything else is an intruder. Politely, firmly, show it to the door. In the Stoic view, the universe is a single, living organism, and you are a vital cell within it. This means that nothing happens to you that is not also a part of the whole. When we fight our circumstances, we are like a finger fighting the hand. There is a cosmic intelligence to the unfolding of events, even the ones that hurt. By surrendering to this intelligence tonight, you are not giving up, you are aligning yourself with the flow of the stars. You are part of a grand, silent symphony. You don't need to lead the orchestra. You only need to play your part, which right now is to sleep. Let go of the story of you. During the day, we carry the heavy burden of our identities, our jobs, our reputations, our failures, and our successes. We are constantly trying to maintain this character we've built. But in the dark, that character can take off its costume. You are not your bank account. You are not your mistakes. You are not your productivity. You are the consciousness that exists beneath those labels. As you drift, feel the labels peeling away. You are becoming lighter. You are returning to the state of a child, or a tree, or a stone. You are simply a part of the night, existing without effort. As the silence grows absolute, realize that the control you feared losing was never yours to begin with. It was a heavy, invisible chain you chose to carry. By admitting you have no control over the world, you have paradoxically gained the only control that matters, control over yourself. You are the master of this moment. You are the emperor of this silence. The dawn will come when it will come, and the world will be waiting with its usual chaos. But you will meet it as a fortress. For now, the gates are locked. The lamps are low. You are at rest. In the philosophy of the porch, there is a concept known as homologumenos te physii, living in agreement with nature. We often find ourselves in a state of interior rebellion, clenching our muscles against the reality of our lives. We treat the passage of time, the aging of the body, and the unpredictability of others as personal insults. But the Stoic understands that to fight nature is to fight a mirror. You only bruise yourself. Tonight, as you feel the pull of gravity, let your resistance soften. Acquiescence is not the same as giving up, it is the act of stopping the internal protest. It is the realization that the river flows toward the sea, and your only choice is whether to swim against the current or to float with its immense, quiet power. Seneca once wrote that a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. When we feel out of control, we are often in the middle of that polishing process. We feel the heat and the pressure, and we call it suffering. But what if the pressure is exactly what is required to reveal your clarity? Stoicism teaches us to look at our difficulties as a trainer looks at a heavy weight. The weight is not your enemy, it is the tool that builds your strength. As you lie here, take the problems of your day and place them in this new light. They are not obstacles to your peace, they are the exercises that make your peace unshakable. You are being refined in the dark. Much of our mental clutter comes from our attachment to reputation, the image of ourselves that lives in the minds of others. We try to control what people think of us, how they interpret our actions, and how they judge our success. Marcus Aurelius looked at this struggle and saw its futility. He compared the pursuit of fame to a pile of sand being shifted by the wind. You cannot control the minds of others any more than you can control the clouds. To try is to remain a slave. Tonight, give everyone in the world permission to misunderstand you. Give them permission to be wrong about you. Your worth is not a democracy, it is a private fact. Rest in the freedom of being unknown and unjudged. Consider the view from above. The Stoics practiced a mental exercise where they imagined rising up from their beds, above their houses, their cities, and finally above the earth itself. From the height of the stars, the problems that feel so immense tonight, the missed deadline, the awkward comment, the financial worry, become invisible. They are tiny flickers in a vast, ancient silence. You are a part of a cosmic whole that has existed for billions of years and will continue for billions more. Your current anxiety is a single drop in a boundless ocean. Breathe in that vastness. Let the scale of the universe shrink your worries until they are small enough to be put away for the night. We suffer when we treat the indifference as essentials. Money, health, and status are what the Stoics call preferred indifference. They are good to have, but they are not the source of a good life. The only thing essential for your peace is your character and your response to the present moment. If you have those, you have everything. When everything feels out of control, remind yourself that the everything you are worried about is likely in the category of the indifference. Your core, your ability to be rational, kind, and steady, is still entirely within your grasp. It has not been harmed by the day's events. You are still whole. The mind is like a vessel, and the world is like the wind. If the vessel is empty and light, it is easily tossed and overturned. But if it is filled with the weight of wisdom, it remains upright regardless of the gale. Tonight, fill your vessel with the weight of acceptance. Acceptance of the fact that you will make mistakes. Acceptance of the fact that you cannot please everyone. Acceptance of the fact that life is fragile. This weight is not heavy, it is grounding. It is the ballast that allows you to sail through the night without fear. Feel that solidity in your chest. You are filled with a quiet, heavy peace. Anxiety often stems from a lack of trust in our own future selves. We worry about how we will cope with a loss or a change, forgetting that the you who will face that event will be equipped with the strength of that moment. You do not need the strength for next month tonight, you only need the strength for this breath. Epictetus taught that we should meet every challenge by asking, what capacity do I have for dealing with this? You will find that you have the capacity for endurance, the capacity for patience, and the capacity for silence. These are your internal tools. They never rust, and they can never be stolen. The Stoic life is one of internal retreat. When the world becomes too loud or too chaotic, you do not need to fly to a distant island, you only need to go within. Marcus Aurelius called this the inner citadel. It is a place where the logic of the world does not apply. Here, there is no too late or not enough. There is only the steady pulse of awareness. As you prepare for sleep, imagine yourself walking into this citadel. The walls are made of your own resilience, and the light comes from your own reason. The world is outside, and you are within. The gates are closed. Let go of the need to be the protagonist of a success story. Often, our lack of control feels like a failure because we believe our lives should follow a certain triumphant arc. But the universe does not owe us a story, it only offers us existence. There is a deep, egoless peace in simply being a part of the natural order, like a tree that loses its leaves in the winter without feeling it has failed. You are in your winter moment, the time of shedding and stillness. There is no shame in this quiet. There is only the preparation for what comes next. As the last thoughts of the day dissolve, return to the rhythm of the body. The heart beats without your command. The lungs dry without your planning. The body knows how to heal itself, how to rest, and how to let go. You have spent all day trying to be the master, now, be the student. Listen to the wisdom of your own biology. It is at peace with the night. It is not worried about tomorrow. It is simply existing in the dark, and that is enough. You have arrived. The day is a memory. The rest is your reality. Stoicism is often misunderstood as a philosophy of coldness, but in truth, it is a philosophy of warmth, a warmth found in the fireplace of the soul when the world outside is freezing. We feel out of control because we have mistaken our influence for our power. We try to influence the outcome of our efforts, the health of our bodies, and the loyalty of our friends, and when these things shift, we feel powerless. But the Stoic knows that power is not found in the outcome, it is found in the choice of how to meet the outcome. You are not a victim of your life, you are the architect of your reaction to it. Tonight, as the darkness wraps around you, realize that your internal sovereignty remains untouched. You are the only person who can decide how you feel about this moment. Epictetus reminded his students that we are like actors in a play. We do not choose the role, nor do we choose the length of the performance. Our only task is to play the role assigned to us as well as we can. If you are a parent, be a patient one. If you are a worker, be an honest one. If you are a person in pain, be a courageous one. When we stop fighting the script and start focusing on the performance, the pressure of what happens next begins to lift. You don't need to rewrite the play tonight. You only need to be the person who rests well, so that you can play your part with clarity tomorrow. Consider the Stoic virtue of phronesis, or practical wisdom. It is the ability to see things as they truly are, stripped of the layers of our own anxiety. When we feel overwhelmed, it is usually because we are looking at a giant, tangled knot of problems. Wisdom is the act of looking at just one thread at a time. It is the realization that you do not have to solve your whole life tonight, you only have to inhabit this single hour. The knot will still be there in the morning, but you will have the strength of a rested mind to untie it. For now, the only wise action is to let the thread go. We are often tormented by counterfactuals, the if-onlys of our lives. If only I had said this. If only I hadn't done that. These thoughts are the ghosts of control. They are attempts to reach back into the past and fix what is now unfixable. Marcus Aurelius taught that everything that happens is just as it should be in the grand causal chain of the universe. To fight the past is to fight the laws of physics. Tonight, make peace with your history. Every mistake was a lesson, every detour was part of the journey. The past is a closed book. Let it rest on the shelf. Your only concern is the blank page of the present. There is a profound stillness in the concept of euthymia, the sense of being on one's own path and not being distracted by the paths of others. We feel out of control when we compare our internal chaos to the polished external lives of those around us. We feel we are losing a race we never signed up for. But the Stoic knows that the only race that matters is the one toward your own character. When you stop looking at the lanes next to you, the wind stops feeling like a threat. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Your journey is unique, and its pace is governed by a wisdom deeper than your own. Seneca noted that we are in the habit of exaggerating, or imagining, or anticipating sorrow. We treat our fears as if they were already facts. But the Stoic trains the mind to stay within the boundaries of the evidence. What do you actually know for certain right now? You know that you are safe in this bed. You know that you are breathing. You know that the night is quiet. Everything else, the fears of what might happen next week or next year, is speculation. It is fiction. Do not let fiction ruin your reality. Stay within the light of what is true right now. Emotional resilience is not about being tough, it is about being pliant. Think of the willow tree versus the oak. The oak stands rigid and breaks in the storm, the willow bends and survives. When everything feels out of control, our instinct is to stiffen, to fight, to resist. But Stoicism invites us to be flexible. To say, this is not what I wanted, but I can work with this. This mental flexibility is the ultimate secret to calm. It allows you to move through the world without being shattered by it. Tonight, let your mind become like the willow. Bend with the night. Yield to the darkness. The Stoic practice sympathia, the recognition that we are all part of a larger, cosmic whole. We are not solitary islands fighting the sea, we are the sea itself. When you feel the weight of the world, remember that you are not carrying it alone. You are supported by the same laws that hold the planets in their orbits and the mountains in their places. You are part of an immense, orderly system. By surrendering your need for personal control, you are leaning back into the arms of the universe. You are falling into a safety that is billions of years old. Let go of the need for justice in the short term. We often feel frustrated because we see the wrong people winning or our own efforts going unrewarded. But the Stoic looks at the long arc of time. They know that the only true reward is a clear conscience and a steady mind. If you have those, you have won, regardless of what the scoreboard of the world says. Tonight, declare your day a success simply because you survived it with your integrity intact. That is enough. You have earned your rest, not through your achievements, but through your endurance. As the final veil of sleep begins to fall, realize that everything you were trying to control has already vanished into the shadows. The world is gone. The responsibilities are gone. There is only the rhythm of your breathing and the vast, welcoming dark. You have returned to the source. You have found the center. The Stoic path has led you back to yourself, and there, you have found that everything is quiet. Everything is still. Everything is well. The Stoics were the master alchemists of the mind. They did not attempt to turn lead into gold in a physical furnace, but rather to turn hardship into strength within the vessel of perception. When everything feels out of control, it is because we are looking at our lives through the lens of lack, focusing on the missing piece, the broken plan, or the uncertain outcome. But the secret to staying calm lies in the Stoic filter. It is the ability to look at a chaotic event and strip away the emotional narrative we have draped over it. A storm is just wind and water, a critique is just air and sound. Tonight, we are going to practice this alchemy. We are going to take the leaden weight of your worries and refine them until only the essential truth remains. Epictetus taught that it is not things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about these things. Consider the uncontrollable events of your week. In themselves, they are neutral. It is your mind that has labeled them as bad, stressful, or unfair. This labeling is where the suffering begins. Imagine, for a moment, that you could remove those labels. If you look at your life without the words problem or failure, what remains? Only facts. Only moments. Only the next breath. By removing the labels tonight, you are removing the barbs from the thoughts that keep you awake. You are making your mind a smooth surface where nothing can snag or tear. There is a profound power in the Stoic pause. It is the space between an event and your reaction to it. When the world feels chaotic, our reactions are usually immediate and frantic, a reflex of fear. But you are not a creature of reflex, you are a creature of reason. In that tiny sliver of time before you decide to be upset, there is a door to infinite peace. Tonight, expand that pause. Make it as wide as the night. You don't have to react to the state of the world tonight. You don't have to have a feeling about your future. You can simply exist in the pause, where nothing has been decided and everything is still. Marcus Aurelius often spoke about the vanity of existence. He reminded himself that the greatest empires crumble into dust and the most famous names are eventually forgotten. While this might sound bleak, it is actually the ultimate cure for the anxiety of control. If everything is temporary, then the disasters of today are merely ripples on a very large pond. The things you are white-knuckling, your status, your projects, your perfect plans, are all made of the same ephemeral mist. When you realize that everything is passing, you can stop trying to catch the fog. You can simply enjoy its beauty while it lasts and let it go when it fades. We often feel out of control because we have confused attention with worry. We think that by giving a problem our constant, anxious attention, we are taking care of it. But worry is a passive state, it is a circling of the drain. Attention, however, is an active choice. The Stoic gives their full attention to the present task and no attention to the uncontrollable result. As you lie here, your only task is rest. Any thought that leads you away from rest is a misdirection of your attention. Guide your mind back, gently, like a shepherd guiding a wandering lamb. Your peace is the only priority in this temple of the night. Consider the idea of radical self-sufficiency. Seneca argued that a person who needs nothing from the outside world is truly a god among men. We feel out of control because we believe we need certain external conditions to be happy. We need the weather to be good, the traffic to be light, and the people to be kind. But what if you needed nothing? What if your calm was a self-generating flame that didn't require external oxygen? Tonight, practice needing nothing. For this hour, you don't need the future to be bright. You don't need the past to be different. You only need the quiet strength that is already inside you. The fear of losing control is often just the fear of what people will think. We worry that if our lives look messy, we will be judged. But the Stoic knows that other people's opinions belong to them, not to you. They are as much out of your control as the movement of the tides. To worry about them is to try and walk in someone else's shoes while they are still wearing them. Tonight, withdraw your concern from the minds of others. Let them think what they will. It has no more effect on your inner citadel than a distant bird has on a stone wall. You are the only judge who matters in this quiet room. There is a beautiful Stoic prayer that asks for the strength to change what can be changed, the serenity to accept what cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference. When you feel overwhelmed, it is because you have mixed these three things together. You are trying to use your change energy on things that require acceptance. Tonight, sort your thoughts into two piles. The acceptance pile is very large, it contains the whole world. The change pile is very small, it contains only your own mind. Notice how much lighter you feel when you stop trying to push the heavy pile. Stoicism is the practice of pre-acceptance. It is deciding, before the day even begins, that you will meet whatever comes with a steady heart. As you prepare for sleep, you are pre-accepting the morning. You are deciding that regardless of what the news brings or what the emails say, your core will remain unshaken. You are setting your internal compass to peace, and no external magnet can pull it off course. This is the true meaning of resilience. It is not avoiding the storm, it is having a ship that is built to thrive within it. The night has a way of returning us to our essence. In the dark, the roles we play, the worker, the parent, the friend, all fall away. You are left with the raw, quiet reality of your own existence. This is the Stoic source. It is the part of you that is never out of control, because it never seeks to control. It simply observes. It simply is. Let the quietness of the room merge with the quietness of your soul. The day is a closed chapter. The night is a boundless ocean. Sink into it. Trust the depth. Sleep. The Stoics often spoke of the cosmos not as a chaotic accident, but as an orderly and interconnected whole. When we feel out of control, it is because we have zoomed in too closely on our own lives. We see the jagged edges of our personal problems and forget the smooth curve of the grand design. We are like a single stitch in a vast tapestry, convinced that the knot we are tied in is a disaster, unaware that we are helping to form a beautiful and necessary pattern. Tonight, let your perspective widen. You are not a solitary atom fighting for survival. You are a vital part of a universal movement. As you breathe, feel the tension of being a self-dissolve. You are being held by the same laws that guide the stars and the seasons. In the eyes of the whole, everything is already in its right place. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should observe the movements of the stars as if we were running alongside them. He was teaching us the art of detachment, the ability to view our own lives with the same calm indifference we feel toward the distant planets. From the perspective of the moon, your current anxieties have no volume, they make no sound. This detachment is not a lack of care, but a presence of clarity. It is the ability to walk through a crowded room or a difficult day without letting the noise stick to you. Tonight, imagine yourself as that distant observer. Look down at your life with kindness, but without the desperate need for it to be perfect. The stars do not struggle to shine, they simply shine. Much of our suffering comes from our internal protest, the constant no we say to reality. We say no to the rain, no to the traffic, and no to the aging of our bodies. This protest is the primary source of our exhaustion. The Stoic practice is the inner yes. This doesn't mean we like everything that happens, but we acknowledge it. We stop wasting our energy on the impossible task of wishing it away. As you lie here, find the things you have been protesting today. One by one, say yes to them. Not because they are good, but because they are. Feel the sudden silence that follows when the protest stops. Consider the Stoic reserve clause. Whenever the ancients planned something, they would add the phrase fate permitting or if nothing prevents it. They understood that they could control their effort, but they could never guarantee the result. This small mental addition is the cure for disappointment. It allows you to be fully committed to your goals while remaining entirely at peace with their failure. Tonight, look back at your day's efforts and add the clause. You did your best, fate permitting. The rest was never in your hands. Sleep in the peace of knowing that your responsibility ended the moment you did what you could. We often feel out of control because we have an external center of gravity. We allow our mood to be determined by the weather, by the economy, or by the behavior of a stranger. We are like weather vanes, turning with every breeze. Stoicism is the process of moving that center of gravity back inside. It is building a core so dense and so heavy that no external wind can move it. This core is your character. It is your ability to choose your own principles. Tonight, feel that weight in your center. No matter how the world turns tomorrow, your core remains still. You are the master of your own gravity. Seneca reminded us that a man is as wretched as he has convinced himself he is. We are the authors of our own misery because we insist on telling stories of victimhood. When something is taken from us, we tell a story of loss. But the Stoic tells a story of return. When a job ends, or a relationship changes, or health fades, they say, I have returned it to the universe from which it came. Nothing is truly ours, it is all on loan. By viewing life as a series of returns rather than losses, you remove the sting of change. You are not being robbed, you are merely participating in the natural flow of things. Anxiety is a form of mental time travel. We leave the safety of the present and wander into a future filled with shadows. But the future is a ghost, it has no power to hurt you until it becomes the present, and when it does, you will meet it with the same tools you are using now. Marcus Aurelius said, do not let the future trouble you. You will come to it, if you must, possessed of the same reason that you apply now to the present. You are already equipped. You are already prepared. There is no need to rehearse for a tragedy that hasn't arrived. Stay here, in the quiet sanctuary of the now. There is a profound freedom in the Stoic concept of poverty of desire. We think that to be powerful, we must have more. But the Stoics saw that true power is needing less. Every desire you have is a hook that the world can use to pull you. By narrowing your desires down to the only thing that truly matters, your own integrity, you become unhookable. The world can take your money, your health, or your status, but if you do not desire those things above your own peace, you remain undefeated. Tonight, unhook yourself from the world. You have everything you need right here in the dark. As the night grows deeper, the distinction between your body and the bed, between the air and your breath, begins to fade. You are returning to the state of pneuma, the life force that the Stoics believed permeated all things. You are not an isolated ego, you are a pulse in the life of the universe. In this state, control is a meaningless word. Does the leaf control the tree? Does the wave control the ocean? They simply participate. Let your participation tonight be total and quiet. You are being breathed by the universe. You are being held by the dark. The Stoic journey ends where it began, in the quiet realization that you are enough. The world will continue its chaotic dance tomorrow, and you will meet it with the steady gaze of one who knows the secret of the lighthouse. But for now, the dance has stopped. The lights have dimmed. The masters have finished their teaching. The only thing left is the silence, and the silence is your friend. It is the sound of a mind that has finally found its home. Fall into that home. Fall into the deep, unshakable calm. Sleep. We often think of attachment as a form of love, but the Stoic sees it as a form of weight. We attach ourselves to the way we think things should be, binding our happiness to a specific version of the future. When life inevitably takes a different turn, we feel as though we're being dragged behind a chariot. This friction, the gap between reality and our expectations, is the source of all our mental unrest. Tonight, we are going to practice the art of loosening the grip. We are not becoming cold or indifferent, we are becoming light. We are realizing that we can care for our lives without becoming a prisoner to their outcomes. As you settle into the dark, imagine your attachments as thin, silken threads. One by one, feel them snapping softly, leaving you untethered and free to float in the vast, quiet pool of the present. Epictetus reminded us that we are merely guests at a banquet. When a dish is passed to you, reach out and take a moderate helping. If it has not yet reached you, do not desire it from a distance. And if it is being taken away, let it go with a spirit of gratitude. This is the Stoic secret to navigating a world that feels out of control, to enjoy what is present without needing it to stay. Most of our anxiety tonight comes from the fear of the dish being taken away, the fear of losing our comfort, our health, or our plans. But remember, you were fine before these things arrived, and you will be fine after they depart. Your core is not made of what you possess, it is made of how you stand. There is a profound mental space the Stoics called apatheia. It is not the apathy we think of today, which is a lack of feeling, rather, it is a state of being unpushed by the passions. It is a radical emotional stability. Imagine your mind as a deep well. People can throw stones of criticism into it, or the winds of misfortune can blow across the top, but the deep water remains cool and undisturbed. It does not react to the stone, it simply swallows it and returns to its level. Tonight, become that deep water. Let the events of your day be the stones. They fall, they sink, and they vanish. The depth remains. Seneca once observed that no one is more unhappy than the person who has never faced adversity. He understood that a life of constant control and comfort is a fragile life. It is like a muscle that has never been tested, it withers at the first sign of effort. When you feel out of control, you are actually in a moment of profound strengthening. You are learning that your peace does not require a perfect environment. It is easy to be calm in a quiet garden, the Stoic's goal is to be calm in the center of the storm. As you breathe, thank the chaos for the training it provides. It is making you into a person who can walk through fire and feel only the warmth. Consider the circle of concern versus the circle of influence. Most of our late-night overthinking happens in the outer circle, global events, the choices of other people, the passage of time. We pour our life force into these things, yet we have no power over them. This is why we feel exhausted. The Stoic path is to withdraw all energy from the outer circle and focus it entirely on the small, bright center, your own character. When you stop trying to fix the world and start focusing on being a person of integrity within the world suddenly feels much less threatening. You have simplified your life down to a single task, to be steady. We are often held hostage by the fear of the future, but the future is nothing more than a series of presents that have not yet arrived. When they do arrive, they will be just as manageable as this moment is now. Marcus Aurelius told himself, "Whatever happens, I shall have the same reason to meet it." You do not need to solve next year's problems tonight because you do not have next year's resources yet. You will have them when you get there. Trust the future you to be as capable as the present you. For now, your only job is to be the resting you. The future can wait its turn. There is a quiet joy in the Stoic virtue of autarkia, or self-sufficiency. It is the realization that the good life is a portable thing. It does not live in your house, your car, or your bank account. It lives in the way you process your experiences. This means that even if everything were taken away, your capacity for a good life would remain untouched. You are like a flame that carries its own fuel. Tonight, feel that internal warmth. It doesn't matter what tomorrow looks like, you are carrying the good life with you into sleep. You are your own sanctuary. Anxiety is the noise of the ego trying to justify its existence. It wants to feel important, so it creates emergencies out of thin air. It tells you that if you stop worrying, you are being irresponsible. But Stoicism teaches that the most responsible thing you can do is to maintain your clarity. A panicked person cannot help themselves or anyone else. By choosing calm tonight, you are not being passive, you are being a leader. You are leading yourself back to the truth. The world is large, you are small, and everything is exactly as it should be. Let the ego's noise fade into the background music of the night. As you drift closer to the threshold of sleep, imagine your life as a single, long exhale. All the striving, all the wanting, all the resisting, it is all just a breath being released. You are letting go of the world, and the world is letting go of you. There is no more control to exert. There are no more sails to trim. The ship has reached the harbor, and the water is perfectly still. You are dissolving into the night, becoming one with the shadows and the silence. This is the ultimate Stoic acquiescence, to return to the whole without a single regret. The Stoic masters are silent now. Their words have served their purpose, acting as a bridge from the chaos of the day to the tranquility of the night. You are standing on the other side of that bridge. The air is cool. The ground is solid. The fortress of your mind is secure. There is nothing left to do but to close your eyes and trust the deep, ancient wisdom of the dark. You are safe. You are whole. You are at peace. Sleep now, and wake as the master of your own soul. Stoicism invites us to step outside the narrow corridor of our own timeline. We often feel out of control because we are measuring our lives in minutes, hours, and days, units of time that are inherently frantic. But the Stoic mind seeks the perspective of the aeon. When you look at your struggles against the backdrop of geological time or the life cycle of stars, the urgency that keeps you awake begins to lose its grip. The crisis of this afternoon is a microscopic event in the biography of the Earth. Tonight, we are not just resting our bodies, we are resting our perspective. We are zooming out until the jagged peaks of our worries become a smooth, distant horizon. In the vastness of the infinite, there is no chaos, only the slow, majestic turning of a grand design. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the river of time, noting how quickly all things are swept away into the abyss of the past. He saw that we cling to the present as if it were a solid rock, but it is more like a handful of water. You cannot hold it, so why do you suffer trying to? The lack of control you feel is simply the nature of time itself. You are a passenger on a journey that only moves forward. By accepting the transience of all things, your successes, your failures, and even your identity, you stop being a victim of change and start being its witness. As you breathe, let the river take the day. You don't need to swim, you only need to float. There is a specific Stoic exercise known as the view from the grave. It sounds somber, but its intent is to grant us a radical clarity. Imagine looking back at this very moment from the end of a long, well-lived life. From that distance, would you want your younger self to be spent in a state of late-night panic? Or would you wish for them to see the beauty of the quiet, the softness of the bed, and the miracle of a steady breath? The future you already knows that the things you are worrying about tonight will work themselves out, or they won't, but either way, you will endure. Borrow some of that future wisdom now. Give yourself the gift of the peace you will eventually have anyway. Consider the logos, the underlying reason and order of the universe. The Stoics believe that even when things appear chaotic, they are governed by a rational necessity. We feel out of control because we cannot see the whole map, we only see the turn we are currently making. But just as the seasons follow one another without fail, your life is unfolding according to a logic that is larger than your ego's desires. Trusting the logos means trusting that you are exactly where you need to be to learn what you need to learn. Your discomfort is not a mistake, it is a teacher. Tonight, stop trying to be the teacher and become the student. Listen to the silence. We are often tormented by our desire for certainty. We want to know that we are safe, that we are liked, and that we will succeed. But certainty is a phantom, it doesn't exist in the physical world. The only thing you can be certain of is your own ability to choose your response. Epictetus taught that happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle: some things are within our control, and some things are not. When you stop demanding certainty from the world, you find it within yourself. You become certain of your own resilience. You become certain of your own calm. That is the only security that cannot be taken away. Think of the shadow of perfection. We feel out of control when we realize we are flawed, that we have made mistakes, or that we are not living up to our ideal self. But the Stoic sage, the perfect human, was an ideal to move toward, not a standard to be judged by. You are a prokopton, one who is making progress. Progress is messy. Progress includes failure. Tonight, forgive yourself for being in the middle of the process. You are a work in progress in a universe that is also a work in progress. There is no finish line you need to cross before you are allowed to sleep. Rest is the fuel for your progress. Take it now, without guilt. Seneca wrote that the sun also shines on the wicked. He was reminding us that the universe does not revolve around our personal morality or our individual efforts. This indifference of nature is a form of mercy. It means that the weight of the world is not on your shoulders. You do not have to earn the morning. You do not have to justify your existence. You are a part of nature, like a wolf, or a river, or a star. None of them worry about whether they are doing enough. They simply are. Allow yourself the same grace tonight. You are enough, simply because you are here, breathing in the dark. Anxiety is the friction between your mind and the present moment. It is the I want fighting that is. To end the friction, you must choose one over the other. Stoicism chooses the it is. When you align your will with reality, the friction disappears. It is like a gear finally catching and turning smoothly. Feel that alignment in your body now. The bed is here. The dark is here. The silence is here. Everything else is a thought, and you are not your thoughts. You are the space in which they appear. And that space is wide, and cool, and perfectly at peace. As you drift closer to the edge of sleep, imagine your worries as autumn leaves falling into a dark stream. They hit the surface, they spin for a moment, and then they are carried away by the current. You are the stream. You are not the leaves. You are the deep, moving water that remains long after the leaves have dissolved. The uncontrollable world is just debris on your surface. Beneath it, you are constant. Beneath it, you are powerful. Beneath it, you are still. Let the leaves go. Stay with the water. The architecture of the night is now complete. The fortress is secure, the lighthouse is steady, and the archer has released the bow. You have returned to the state of eudaimonia, the well-ordered soul. The masters of the porch leave you with this final thought: the world cannot give you peace, and therefore, the world cannot take it away. It has always been yours to keep. Hold it close as you fall into the deep, welcoming dark. You have nothing to fear. You are home. We often treat the present moment as a mere bridge to somewhere else, a place we must cross as quickly as possible to reach a better, more controlled future. But the Stoic knows that the present is the only piece of time that actually belongs to you. The past is a memory that has lost its teeth, the future is a shadow that hasn't yet found its form. When you feel out of control, it is usually because you have abandoned your post in the now to go fighting ghosts in the not yet. Tonight, we are calling the spirit back home. We are realizing that within the boundaries of this single breath, there is no crisis. There is no chaos. There is only the quiet, steady reality of being alive. This moment is your sanctuary. It is the only place where the world cannot touch you unless you let it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Cucumbers are bitter? Then throw them out. There are brambles in the path? Then go around them." That is all you need to know. He was teaching us the art of radical simplicity. We complicate our lives by adding whys and hows to every inconvenience. We don't just see a bramble, we wonder why it's there, whose fault it is, and what it says about our luck. This mental chatter is the weight that pulls us under. Tonight, practice being a master of the obvious. The day is over. The lights are off. The body is tired. These are the facts. You don't need a narrative to explain them. You only need to accept them. In simplicity, there is a profound and unshakable rest. Consider the Stoic indifference toward the body. We spend so much of our lives trying to control our physical form, its health, its appearance, its aging. But the body is an external thing, it is subject to the laws of biology and time. Stoicism teaches us to treat the body as a garment we wear for a short season. We care for it, yes, but we do not let its inevitable changes disturb our inner peace. As you lie here, feel the fatigue in your muscles. It is not an enemy, it is simply the body's way of saying it has done its work. You are not your tiredness. You are the awareness that observes the tiredness. Let the garment rest. You, the wearer, are free. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." But Stoic bravery is not the absence of fear, it is the refusal to let fear hold the compass. When everything feels out of control, fear tries to take the wheel, steering you into the rocks of panic. Bravery is the act of gently placing your hand over fear's hand and saying, "I see you, but you are not the captain." Tonight, be brave enough to be still. Be brave enough to trust that the morning will come without your vigilance. The greatest act of courage you can perform right now is to let go of the illusion that your worry is keeping the world safe. There is a concept in Stoicism called eupatheia, the cultivation of good feelings that arise from a clear mind. These are not the fleeting highs of pleasure, but the deep, steady glow of a soul that is in harmony with itself. This joy is a quiet one. It is the joy of knowing that no matter what the world throws at you, you have the tools to handle it. It is the satisfaction of a craftsman who knows their tools are sharp. As you breathe, feel that quiet glow in the center of your chest. It is a light that doesn't flicker when the wind blows. It is the flame of your own character, burning steady in the dark. We are often held back by our mental maps, the rigid ideas we have about how our lives should look by a certain age or in a certain year. When reality doesn't match the map, we feel lost. But the map is not the territory. Stoicism teaches us to throw away the map and learn to read the terrain. If the path turns into a forest, become a forest dweller. If it turns into a desert, become a nomad. Your ability to adapt is your greatest strength. Tonight, burn the maps of how things should have been. The terrain you are in is the only one that matters. You are not lost, you are simply exploring a part of the journey you didn't anticipate. The fear of the unknown is the fear of a story we haven't written yet. We fill the unknown with our worst-case scenarios, forgetting that the unknown is also where all our future joys and strengths reside. Epictetus lived a life of profound uncertainty, yet he was one of the most stable humans to ever walk the earth. He found his stability in the dichotomy of control. He realized that if he focused only on his own will, the unknown lost its power to terrify him. Tomorrow is unknown, but your commitment to being a person of virtue is known. That is your North Star. It doesn't matter how dark the night gets, the star is always there. Let go of the need to understand. Our minds are addicted to meaning, we want to know why things happen and what it all means. But sometimes, there is no why that the human mind can grasp in the moment. The universe is a vast machine with a billion moving parts. To demand that it explain itself to you is like a leaf demanding to understand the roots of the forest. There is peace in admitting, I do not know, and that is okay. Tonight, trade your curiosity for trust. You don't need to understand the dark to rest within it. As the edges of your consciousness begin to fray, imagine your life as a work of art that is being painted by a hand much larger than your own. You are both a canvas and a brushstroke. The dark colors are just as necessary as the light ones to create the depth and the beauty. If your life feels dark right now, it is only because the artist is adding the shadows that will make the highlights shine. Do not fight the brush. Trust the artist. Trust the process. The painting is not finished yet, but the work is good. The final gate is opening. The path of the Stoic has led you to the edge of the great, restorative silence. You have stripped away the illusions of control, the weight of reputation, and the friction of resistance. You are standing in the inner citadel, and the air is perfectly still. The world will revolve, the sun will rise, and the uncontrollable will continue its dance. But you are no longer a part of the struggle. You are the peace. You are the calm. You are the whole. Sleep now. Everything is as it should be. Desire is the invisible tether that pulls us out of the present and into a state of lack. We feel out of control because we have convinced ourselves that we need the world to look a certain way before we can be at peace. We desire the approval of a specific person, the success of a specific project, or the avoidance of a specific discomfort. But every desire is a hostage negotiation with fate. The Stoic practice the discipline of desire, the art of wanting only what is already within one's power to achieve. Tonight, look at the things you have been craving today. Notice the tension they create in your mind. By letting go of the desire for external outcomes, you aren't losing the world, you are gaining yourself. You are realizing that your tranquility is not a prize to be won, but a state to be inhabited. Epictetus taught that he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Most of our midnight anxiety is a form of grieving for a version of our lives that doesn't exist yet. We focus on the gap between our current reality and our imagined ideal. But this gap is an illusion. The ideal is a ghost, the reality is the only thing that has the power to sustain you. As you breathe, shift your focus from the gap to the ground. Feel the warmth of the blanket, the rhythm of the heart, the safety of the room. When you stop desiring the ghost, the reality becomes a garden. Consider the Stoic filter of essentials. We often feel overwhelmed because we are pursuing too many goods. We want to be the best at our jobs, the perfect friend, the most informed citizen, the healthiest version of ourselves. We are spread thin across 1,000 desires. Stoicism asks us to collapse those 1,000 desires into one, the desire for arete or excellence of character. If your only goal is to meet whatever happens with a steady and virtuous mind, then you can never be defeated. Whether the day is a success or a disaster in the eyes of the world, you have succeeded in your one true task. In this singleness of purpose, the chaos of the world becomes irrelevant. Seneca noted that it is the sign of an over-refined mind to be unable to tolerate anything that is not perfect. We feel out of control when things are messy, when people are difficult, or when the house is in disarray, or when the plan has a flaw. This need for perfection is a form of fragility. The Stoic develops a rugged mind. They train themselves to find beauty in the imperfect and peace in the incomplete. Tonight, embrace the mess of your life. It is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of vitality. A perfect life is a static thing, a real life is a growing, changing, and often chaotic thing. Rest in the beauty of the unfinished. There is a profound freedom in voluntary discomfort. The Stoics would occasionally spend days eating simple food or wearing coarse clothing to remind themselves that they could survive even if their comforts were taken away. They found that their fear of losing control was actually just a fear of losing their luxuries. Tonight, as you lie in comfort, remind yourself that even without it, you would still be you. Your peace is not a product of your mattress or your air conditioning. It is a product of your mind. By realizing you can survive without the extras lose their power to worry you. You are enjoying them, but you are no longer dependent on them. We are often held back by our aversion, the desperate desire to avoid certain things. We fear criticism, we fear sickness, we fear loneliness. But aversion is just the negative twin of desire. It is another way we let the world pull our strings. Marcus Aurelius suggested that we should greet these feared things as if they were old friends, as natural parts of the human experience. When you stop running away from the things you fear, they lose their fangs. They are just events. They are just wind and water. Tonight, stop running. Whatever you are afraid of meeting tomorrow, imagine meeting it with a simple nod of recognition. It is part of the world, and so are you. Anxiety often tells us that we are not enough unless we are achieving. It creates a desire for constant validation. But Stoicism teaches that to be content with one's own self is the highest form of wealth. You are a complete universe in yourself. You do not need the world's applause to be whole. As the room grows dark, let the need for external validation fall away. You do not need to prove anything to anyone tonight. You are not a performer on a stage, you are a soul in its sanctuary. The only opinion that matters is the one you hold of yourself in the quiet of the night. There is a concept called paranoia, the opposite of paranoia. It is the belief that the universe is conspiring on your behalf, even when things look difficult. The Stoics didn't believe the universe was nice, but they did believe it was ordered. Every challenge you face is a gift of fate designed to expand your capacity. When you view your desires through this lens, you stop asking for an easy life and start asking for a strong mind. You start wanting exactly what the universe gives you. This is the ultimate shortcut to calm, wanting what you already have and liking what is already happening. As the darkness pulls you deeper, let the I want dissolve into I am. Desires are future-focused, they are about becoming. But sleep is about being. You cannot desire your way into sleep, you can only surrender your way into it. Feel the desire for tomorrow's success or tomorrow's safety dissolving into the cool air of the room. You are letting go of the hooks. You are becoming smooth, like a pebble washed by the sea. There is nothing to reach for. There is only the rhythm of the now. The discipline of desire has brought you to a place of profound stillness. By wanting nothing from the world, you have made yourself the master of the world. The things that once felt like out-of-control chaos are now seen as the natural movements of a larger system. You are safe within your own character. You are at rest within your own mind. The darkness is not an absence, it is a presence. It is the peace of a soul that has finally stopped wanting more and started realizing it has everything. Sleep now. You are complete. Deep within the architecture of Stoic thought lies the concept of the inner citadel, a mental fortress that remains impenetrable regardless of the chaos beyond its walls. We often feel out of control because we have built our homes on the open plains of external circumstances, where we are vulnerable to every passing storm. We have allowed our joy to depend on the words of others, the stability of the economy, or the health of our bodies. But tonight, we are retreating. We are climbing the stone steps of the mind to a place of absolute sovereignty. This citadel is not built of stone, but of the realization that your ability to reason and your freedom to choose your perspective are the only things that can never be seized. Here, in the quiet height of your own consciousness, the world is not an enemy to be fought, but a landscape to be observed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The mind which is free from passions is a citadel, for man has nothing more secure to which he can fly for refuge." To be free from passion does not mean to be without love or feeling, it means to be free from the frantic, reactive emotions that cloud our judgment. When you are inside the citadel, you see an insult not as a wound, but as a vibration of error. You see a setback not as a catastrophe, but as a data point. Tonight, as you lie still, practice this high-altitude perspective. Look down at the worries of your day as if they were tiny lights in a distant valley. They are part of the scenery, but they do not define the mountain. Consider the judgment of the gatekeeper. Within your citadel, you have a gatekeeper whose job is to inspect every thought that seeks entry. Most of our anxiety comes from letting unauthorized thoughts in, thoughts about the distant future, thoughts of self-criticism, thoughts of what might have been. The gatekeeper asks of every impression, is this within my control? If the answer is no, the gate remains closed. You do not need to entertain a thought just because it appeared. You can watch it stand outside the walls until it grows tired and wanders away. Your peace is protected by your discernment. We often feel the need to fix the world before we can be at rest. We believe that once all the problems are solved, we will finally have permission to be calm. But the Stoic knows that the world will never be fully solved. There will always be another bramble, another storm, another conflict. The citadel is the realization that you don't need the world to be quiet to be at peace. Peace is not the absence of noise, it is the presence of a steady center. You can be the silence in the middle of the shouting. Tonight, give up the labor of fixing. Let the world be broken, and let yourself be whole. There is a profound freedom in cognitive distancing. This is the ability to see your thoughts as events rather than as reality. Just as you are not the weather you observe through a window, you are not the anxiety you observe in your mind. From the safety of the citadel, you can say, I am having a thought that I might fail, rather than I am failing. This tiny linguistic shift creates a space, a buffer zone, between your core and the world. In that space, there is room to breathe. In that space, you are the observer, and the observer is always safe. Seneca taught that the greatest portion of peace of mind is not to do anything wrong. By wrong, he meant acting against your own nature and principles. When we try to control others or manipulate outcomes, we create an internal friction that burns. But when we act with integrity, we strengthen the walls of our citadel. Tonight, find comfort in the moments today where you were kind, where you were patient, or where you simply endured. These are the stones that make your fortress strong. Your goodness is your defense. It is the only thing the world cannot take, and therefore, it is the only thing you never have to fear losing. Anxiety is the feeling of being exposed, as if life could reach in and strike at your very heart. But Stoicism teaches that the heart of the soul, the hegemonikon, or the ruling faculty, is unreachable. No one can force you to think a thought you do not want to think. No one can force you to value what you do not value. You are the sole inhabitant of your inner world. As the room grows darker, feel the thickness of your mental walls. You are tucked away in a place of absolute privacy and absolute safety. The world is out there, you are in here. Let go of the armor of worry. We often think that by being anxious, we are staying on guard. We treat worry as if it were a weapon or a shield. But worry is a weight, not a weapon. It slows your reactions and clouds your vision. The truly prepared person is the one who is relaxed, for they can respond to the world with fluidity and precision. Tonight, lay down the heavy shield of anxiety. You don't need it inside the citadel. The walls are already built. You are already protected by your own reason. As the transition to sleep becomes total, the citadel itself begins to dissolve into the night. When you are perfectly at peace, you no longer need walls. The inner and the outer merge into a single, quiet reality. You are no longer a person in a fortress, you are the silence of the night itself. The need for control has vanished because the controller has vanished. There is only the breathing. There is only the heartbeat. There is only the infinite, supportive dark. The view from the inner citadel is one of absolute clarity. You see the world for what it is, a passing show, a play of light and shadow, a river that flows exactly where it must. You have finished your watch. The gates are barred. The lanterns are extinguished. The masters of the porch go before you into the dream world. You are safe. You are sovereign. You are at rest. Sleep in the heart of the fortress. Stoicism teaches that our greatest power lies in the discipline of assent, the conscious choice to agree or disagree with the thoughts that float through our minds. We often feel out of control because we treat every intrusive thought as an absolute truth. When the mind whispers, "You are failing," or "tomorrow will be a disaster," we immediately say yes to it, allowing the thought to take root and blossom into anxiety. But between the thought and the feeling, there is a tiny, sacred space where you sit as the judge. You have the right to withhold your assent. You can look at a fearful thought and simply say, "I see you, but I do not agree that you are true." Tonight, as you retreat into the silence, realize that you are the final authority over your internal world. You are not a victim of your thoughts, you are the one who decides which of them are allowed to define your reality. Epictetus told his students that we should be as careful with our thoughts as we are with our footsteps when walking on slippery ground. Most of us run headlong into our worries, slipping and falling into despair before we even realize what has happened. The discipline of assent is the act of slowing down. It is looking at an impression, a thought image, and testing it against the cold light of reason. Is this thought based on fact, or is it a projection of my fear? Is it helping me act with virtue, or is it merely paralyzing me? By slowing down your yes, you reclaim the steering wheel of your life. Tonight, there is no rush to believe anything. Let the thoughts pass by like strangers on a dark street. You do not have to invite them in. Consider the automatic response. Throughout the day, we are bombarded by triggers, an email, a comment, a sudden change in plans. Our habit is to assent immediately to the badness of the event. We feel the surge of cortisol and believe the event is the stress. But the event is external, the stress is an internal assent. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears. If you refuse to agree that you have been harmed, you haven't been. Tonight, look back at the injuries of your day. See them as neutral data points that your mind mistakenly labeled as wounds. Withdraw your agreement from the pain. It cannot survive without your yes. There is a profound stillness in the Stoic no. It is the refusal to join in the drama of the ego. The ego loves to catastrophize. It wants everything to be an emergency because emergencies make the ego feel important. The discipline of assent is the practice of saying no to the emergency. It is the realization that 90% of what we worry about is a false impression. It is a shadow that looks like a monster until you shine the light of reason upon it. As you breathe into the darkness, feel the power of your no. You are declining the invitation to be anxious. You are declining the invitation to be overwhelmed. You are choosing the quiet truth instead. Seneca noted that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. This is because our imagination has no boundaries, while reality is limited. Our minds can imagine 1,000 failures, but reality only ever gives us one moment to deal with. The discipline of assent keeps you grounded in the limited, manageable reality. It refuses to give weight to the infinite, unmanageable what-ifs. When a thought about the future arrives, tell it, you have no evidence. When a thought about the past arrives, tell it, you are no longer here. By withholding your assent from the non-existent, you find yourself perfectly capable of handling the existent. We are often held hostage by the assent to public opinion. We instinctively agree that we should be upset by the things everyone else is upset by. We follow the collective mood like a leaf follows the wind. But the Stoic is an island of independent judgment. Just because everyone else is panicking doesn't mean panic is the rational response. Tonight, disconnect your mind from the collective noise. You do not need to assent to the world's anxiety. You have your own compass, your own reason, and your own silence. You are the only one who decides the climate of your internal world. There is a form of holy indifference that comes from the discipline of assent. It is the ability to look at good luck and bad luck with the same level gaze. The Stoic does not assent to the idea that external success makes them better, nor that external failure makes them worse. They know that their value is found in their prohairesis, their faculty of choice. As the night deepens, let your sense of worth detach from your achievements. You are not the you that does, you are the you that chooses. And tonight, you are choosing to be at peace. That choice is a triumph that no one can take from you. Anxiety is the assent to chaos. It is the belief that the universe is a hostile and disorganized place. But the Stoics saw the cosmos as an ordered whole, where even the bad parts served a purpose in the grand design. By ascending to the order of the universe, you stop feeling like a victim. You realize that you are a vital part of a meaningful system. Even your struggles are a part of the great work. Tonight, say yes to the order. Say yes to the necessity of the night. In this grand agreement, the feeling of being out of control disappears, replaced by the feeling of being exactly where you belong. As you move towards sleep, let the discipline of assent become the discipline of silence. You have finished judging the day. You have finished testing your impressions. You are now moving into a realm where thoughts no longer require an answer. Imagine your mind as a quiet room where the last lamp has been turned off. The thoughts may still pass through the hallway outside, but you are no longer opening the door. You are withdrawing your attention. You are withdrawing your yes. You are becoming the silence itself. The judge has left the bench. The core of the mind is quiet. You have used your reason to find your way back to the center, and now, reason itself is ready to rest. The discipline of assent has served as your shield all day. Now, it becomes your pillow. You are safe because you have decided to be. You are calm because you have refused to be otherwise. The masters of the porch watch over your transition into the deep, supportive dark. Sleep in the sovereignty of your own soul. Everything is well. In the laboratory of the soul, the Stoic performs a quiet miracle. They take the raw, jagged material of misfortune and transform it into the gold of character. We often feel out of control because we view adversity as an interruption to our lives, a wall that has suddenly appeared in the middle of our path. But Marcus Aurelius taught that the impediment to action advances action, what stands in the way becomes the way. This is the alchemy of adversity. The very thing that feels like it is stopping you is actually providing you with the exact friction you need to grow. Tonight, as you lie in the stillness, look at the walls you encounter today. They are not there to block you, they are there to be climbed. In the climbing, you discover muscles you never knew you had. Seneca famously said that fire is the test of gold, adversity, of strong men. If your life were always smooth, you would never know the depth of your own resilience. You would be like a ship that has only ever known a harbor, beautiful to look at, but untested by the sea. When everything feels out of control, you are being invited out of the harbor. The storm is not trying to sink you, it is showing you that you are buoyant. It is proving to you that your inner peace is not a fragile thing that needs protection, but a sturdy thing that thrives under pressure. As you breathe, feel the strength of a soul that has been tested and remains standing. You are more durable than you realize. Consider the Stoic lens. Most of us look at a setback and see a tragedy. The Stoic looks at the same setback and sees a training exercise. If someone is rude to you, it is an exercise in patience. If you lose something valuable, it is an exercise in non-attachment. If you face a delay, it is an exercise in presence. By relabeling your problems as exercises, you strip them of their power to hurt you. You are no longer a victim of circumstances, you are an athlete in training. Tonight, review the drills the world gave you today. You may have struggled, but you showed up for the practice. That is where the real victory lies. We often feel out of control because we have a fair weather philosophy. We are happy as long as things go our way, but we crumble when the wind shifts. But true tranquility is a fortress for all seasons. It is a peace that doesn't ask the world for permission to exist. Epictetus lived a life of physical hardship and exile, yet he was freer than the emperors who oppressed him. He found that the bad things in life are actually indifferents, they have no power to touch the soul unless we let them. Tonight, realize that your peace is a self-sustaining flame. It doesn't need the world to be good to be bright. There is a profound sense of amor fati, the love of fate, in the midst of adversity. It is the realization that everything that happens to you is a necessary part of the universe's unfolding. To wish for a life without hardship is to wish for a story without plot. The difficulties you face are the inciting incidents that force you to become the hero of your own life. Tonight, embrace the plot twists. Stop fighting the narrative of your life and start trusting the author. Even the dark chapters are essential for the beauty of the ending. You are right where the story needs you to be. Anxiety is the fear that we won't be able to handle what's coming. But adversity is the very thing that proves we can. Every time you face a challenge and survive it, you are collecting evidence of your own competence. Think back to a time in your past when you felt completely overwhelmed, a time you thought you wouldn't get through. You are on the other side of that time now. You handled it. The you of tomorrow will handle tomorrow with the same quiet efficiency. You don't need to see the whole path to know that your feet are capable of walking it. There is a dignity and endurance that the modern world often forgets. We are taught to seek comfort at all costs, but the Stoic knows that comfort is a gilded cage. There is a deep, quiet satisfaction in knowing that you can suffer and still be kind, that you can be tired and still be just, that you can be afraid and still be steady. This is the true high ground of the human spirit. Tonight, Take pride in your endurance. You have faced the friction of the world today and you haven't lost your shine. You are the alchemist, and the lead of the day is becoming the gold of your character. As the silence of the night deepens, let the why of your struggles fade away. In the middle of the storm, you don't need to understand the meteorology, you only need to hold the rudder. The why is a question for the mind, but the how is a question for the soul. How will you rest? How will you trust? How will you let go? By focusing on the how, you return to your power. You are no longer questioning the universe, you are answering it with your own composure. The answer is silence. The answer is peace. The alchemy is reaching its final stage. The heat of the day is cooling. The pressures of the world are receding. You are being left with the essential self, the part of you that remains when everything else is stripped away. This self is not troubled by adversity, it is built by it. Feel the lightness that comes from knowing that you are unbreakable. You have survived the day, and the day has made you deeper. You are falling into a sleep that is not just rest, but a holy integration. The work is done. The lead has been transformed. You are no longer carrying the weight of the world, you are being carried by the wisdom of the masters. The night is your laboratory, and sleep is your reward. There is no more control to exert, and no more adversity to face. You are at home in the dark, a soul of gold in a universe of starlight. Sleep now, in the alchemy of peace. Everything is exactly as it should be. We often feel like a leaf caught in a gale, tossed by the whims of the economy, the moods of our loved ones, and the march of time. We believe our freedom depends on the world being favorable. But the Stoics discovered a secret kind of freedom, the freedom of prohairesis, or the volition. This is the one room in the house of your life that has no windows and a lock that only you control. No matter what the world takes from you, it cannot take your ability to decide what things mean. It cannot force you to hate, it cannot force you to despair, and it cannot force you to betray your own principles. Tonight, as the world outside becomes a distant memory, step into this inner sanctuary. Here, you are not a victim of fate, but a co-author of it. Your will is the only thing that is truly yours, and in its strength, you find an unshakable calm. Epictetus, who spent his youth in the literal chains of slavery, was arguably the freest man in Rome. He taught that you can bind my leg, but not even Zeus can conquer my will. He understood that our suffering doesn't come from being trapped by circumstances, but from our internal consent to be trapped. We enslave ourselves to the need for approval or the fear of loss. But the moment you realize that your will is independent of your situation, the chains fall away. You can be in a difficult situation and still have a free mind. You can be facing uncertainty and still have a steady heart. As you breathe, feel the liberation of knowing that your peace is a choice, not a circumstance. Consider the power of the internal decree. When a thought of panic arrives, you have the power to veto it. You can say to yourself, this thought does not represent me. I do not grant it the power to disturb my rest. This is the exercise of your sovereign will. Most people live as a collection of reactions, but the Stoic lives as a series of intentions. You are the judge presiding over the court of your own mind. Tonight, let your decree be one of tranquility. Rule that the day is finished. Rule that the future is not yet written. Rule that you are safe. Your will is the law of this internal land. We often feel out of control because we have a contractual mindset. We feel that if we do our part, life should do its part and remain predictable. When life breaks the contract, our will feels shattered. But the Stoic has no such contract. They understand that the only thing they are entitled to is their own character. This shift in perspective turns every event into an opportunity for the will to express itself. If life is easy, the will expresses gratitude. If life is hard, the will expresses endurance. In this way, you are never at the mercy of events, you are always the master of your response to them. There is a profound stillness in the will of acceptance. We tend to think of the will as a tool for pushing and pulling the world. But the highest form of will is the one that can choose to be still. It is the will that says, I accept this moment exactly as it is. This is not a passive surrender, it is an active, powerful choice to stop the internal war. When you stop fighting reality, you stop leaking your life force. You become like a mountain that allows the clouds to pass over it without moving an inch. Tonight, let your will be a mountain. Let the world drift by. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Bravery is the will choosing to value virtue over safety. We feel out of control when we are afraid, because fear makes us small and reactive. But the moment you decide that your integrity is more important than your comfort, fear loses its grip. You are no longer trying to survive the day, you are choosing to inhabit it. As you lie in the dark, reclaim your bravery. You are a soul that can face the unknown with its head held high. You are free because you have decided that nothing external is worth your peace of mind. Our willpower is often wasted on trying to suppress our emotions. We feel out of control because we feel anxious, and then we get anxious about being anxious. But the Stoic doesn't try to stop the initial wave of feeling, that's nature. Instead, the will decides whether to agree with the feeling. You can feel the flutter of fear in your chest and still say, "I choose to remain calm." The emotion is the weather, the will is the pilot. You don't need to change the weather to fly the plane. Tonight, let the emotions be whatever they are. They are just vibrations. Your will remains the steady pilot of the soul. As you move towards sleep, realize that your will is now choosing the ultimate Stoic act, the act of katastema, or the pleasure of being at rest. You are willing yourself into a state of non-doing. This is the hardest work of all, to let the world exist without your interference. Imagine your will as a hand that has been clenched tight all day, finally opening up. There is nothing to hold. There is nothing to steer. You are allowing yourself to be carried by the natural current of the night. Your freedom tonight is the freedom to be nothing at all. The freedom of the will has brought you to the edge of the deep. You have navigated the complexities of the day, not by changing the world, but by remaining true to yourself. The internal fortress is quiet. The lanterns have been extinguished by your own hand. You are the master of this silence. The day was a series of choices, and your final choice is one of total trust. You are entrusting your soul to the universe and your body to the dark. You are free. You are whole. You are. The Stoic masters have left the room. The open door of sleep is before you. You are not falling into it, you are walking through it with the dignity of a sovereign. The world of the uncontrollable is behind you. The world of the infinite is within you. Your will is at peace, and your peace is your own. Sleep now, in the absolute freedom of the night. Everything is exactly as it should be. The most profound secret to staying calm when life feels out of control is the one we spend our entire lives trying to avoid, the awareness of our own mortality. The Stoics called this memento mori, remember that you must die. This was not a morbid obsession, but a tool for radical clarity. We feel overwhelmed because we treat our trivial worries as if they were eternal, and our time as if it were infinite. But when you hold your life against the backdrop of its eventual end, the emergencies of the day begin to dissolve. The person who knows their time is limited does not waste a single heartbeat fighting with the wind or mourning the uncontrollable. Tonight, as you lie in the stillness, let the thought of your mortality act as a filter. Let it wash away the noise, leaving only the precious, quiet reality of this single, beautiful breath. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. This is the ultimate shortcut to Stoic calm. When we are panicked about the future, we are acting as if we are guaranteed to be there to suffer it. But the only thing you are guaranteed is right now. By accepting your mortality, you reclaim your power from the future. You stop being a hostage to what might happen because you realize that the only tragedy is wasting the life you actually have. In the shadow of the end, the light of the present becomes blindingly clear. You are here. You are alive. Everything else is a detail. Consider the gift of transience. We often feel out of control because we want things to last forever, our youth, our successes, our comfort. But the beauty of a sunset is found in the fact that it fades, the beauty of a flower is found in its fragility. Stoicism teaches us to love the world because it is temporary, not in spite of it. When you accept that you are a guest in this life, you stop trying to own the furniture. You stop fighting for control over a world that you are only passing through. Tonight, let the transience of all things be a source of peace, not fear. You are a falling star, and for this brief moment, you are radiant. Seneca noted that we are dying every day. Every hour that passes is an hour that death now holds. This means that death is not a distant event, but a constant companion. When we realize this, we stop waiting for the right time to be happy. We stop waiting for the world to be perfect before we allow ourselves to be calm. The right time is the present. The right state is the one you are in. By befriending your mortality, you lose your fear of life's chaos. If the end is certain, then the middle is just a game to be played with courage and grace. There is a profound stillness in this Stoic funeral. Imagine, for a moment, that the day you just finished was your last. Look back at your worries from that perspective. The email you didn't send, the traffic that made you angry, the person who was rude, how do they look now? They look like echoes. They look like nothing. This is the perspective that grants you sovereignty over your emotions. You do not need to wait until the end of your life to find this perspective. You can choose it tonight. You can decide that your peace is more important than the trivialities that try to steal it. We are often held back by the fear of being forgotten. We try to control our legacy and our reputation. But the Stoic remembers that in 100 years, both the praiser and the praised will be dust. This is not a reason for despair, but for immense relief. If your reputation is destined to vanish, then you are free from the burden of maintaining it. You are free to be yourself, right now, without the need for the world's approval. You are a ripple in the ocean of time. The ocean remains, and you are part of it. Rest in the safety of your own smallness. Anxiety is the soul trying to be immortal. It is the ego trying to build a monument that the wind cannot knock down. But the soul finds peace when it accepts its own nature. You are a part of nature, and nature includes the cycle of beginning and ending. As you lie in the dark, feel your connection to the millions of souls who have gone before you and the millions who will follow. You are part of a grand, silent procession. By accepting your place in the cycle, you find a strength that is deeper than your individual fear. You are supported by the infinite. As you drift closer to sleep, let the fear of the end be replaced by the gratitude for the now. Every night is a small death, and every morning a small rebirth. You are practicing the ultimate Stoic surrender. You are letting go of your identity, your memories, and your plans. You are entrusting your existence to the dark. This is the highest form of trust. By being willing to let go of everything tonight, you prove that the world has no power over you. You are free. The wisdom of mortality has stripped away everything that is not essential. You are no longer a person with a list of problems, you are a presence. You are the stillness that exists between the stars. The world is out of control, and it doesn't matter, because your peace is not of this world. You have found the eternal within the temporary. The night is a veil, and you are resting behind it. The watch is over. The lesson is learned. You have looked into the dark and found it was only your own shadow. The masters of the porch bow to the life you have lived today and the rest you have earned tonight. There is nothing left to fear. There is nothing left to hold. You are home in the heart of the cosmos. Sleep now, in the wisdom of the infinite. Everything is as it should be. To the Stoic, the soul is not a battlefield where we must fight our nature, but a musical instrument that must be brought into tune. We feel out of control because our internal strings are wound too tight by the pressures of the world, or left too slack by the weight of our own despair. When the strings are out of balance, every event, no matter how small, creates a jarring, discordant sound. But the secret to staying calm is the practice of eutonia, or the right tension of the soul. Tonight, we are not trying to change the music of the world, we are simply tuning the instrument. As you lie here, feel the vibration of your thoughts slowing down. You are moving from the noise of the external world into the deep, resonant harmony of a mind that is at peace with itself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This retreat is not an escape from reality, but a return to it. We often look for peace in a change of scenery, a new job, or a different city, but these are all external shifts. If the soul is in discord, it will carry that discord wherever it goes. The harmony of the soul is the realization that your internal state is your only true home. As you breathe, imagine yourself stepping into this home. It is a place of perfect acoustics, where the chaos of the city outside is transformed into a low, comforting hum. You are the architect of this silence. Consider the Stoic sympathy, the belief that your soul is a small reflection of the great logos, the rational order of the universe. When you find harmony within yourself, you are simultaneously finding harmony with the cosmos. We feel out of control when we try to be a solo performer, ignoring the rhythm of the rest of the orchestra. But when you align your will with the flow of nature, you become part of the grand symphony. You stop fighting the tempo of your life. Whether the music is slow and somber or fast and complex, you play your part with grace. Tonight, let the universe set the tempo. Your only job is to be in tune with the dark. Seneca noted that the greatest blessing is a mind that is at peace with its own nature. Much of our internal noise comes from the desire to be someone else, to have someone else's luck, someone else's talents, or someone else's life. This desire is a discord that prevents us from hearing our own music. Stoicism teaches us to love our own specific composition. You are a unique set of circumstances, challenges, and strengths. When you stop comparing your soul to others, the static clears. You are free to be exactly who you are, a human being resting in the quiet of the night. There is a profound stillness in the Stoic equilibrium. It is the ability to walk a narrow path without leaning too far into anger or too far into fear. When everything feels out of control, the ego wants to pull us toward extremes. But the harmony of the soul is found in the center. It is the realization that no event is as good as the ego hopes, and no event is as bad as the ego fears. By staying in the middle, you maintain your balance. You are like a tightrope walker who remains perfectly still even as the wind blows. Your balance is internal, it does not depend on the stillness of the air. Anxiety is the discord of expectation. It is the soul crying out because the world is not following the script we wrote for it. But the Stoic doesn't write a script, they learn the music as it is being played. This mental fluidity allows you to stay in harmony even when the melody changes unexpectedly. If the day brings a challenge, the soul adapts. If the night brings silence, the soul settles. You are not a fixed, brittle thing, you are a flowing, adaptive presence. Feel that fluidity in your body now. You are merging with the rhythm of the night. We are often held back by the noise of the past, the regrets and what-ifs that create a constant, low-frequency hum of dissatisfaction. But the past is a note that has already been played. You cannot unplay it, but you can choose the note that follows. The harmony of the soul is found in the now. By bringing your full attention to this breath, you cut through the static of the past. You are starting a new movement in the music of your life. It is a slow, quiet movement. It is a movement of rest. As you move closer to sleep, let the will to control dissolve into the will to harmonize. You are no longer trying to be the conductor, you are the music itself. There is no effort in being music. There is no worry in a melody. You are simply unfolding in the dark. The tensions in your mind are unraveling, and the strings are finding their natural, relaxed state. You are becoming a part of the great silence that exists beneath all sound. The harmony of the soul has brought you to a place of absolute resonance. You are in tune with the room, in tune with the night, and in tune with the infinite. The world is out of control, and it is beautiful in its wildness. You do not need to tame it, you only need to belong to it. Feel the vibration of the universe in your own heartbeat. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are a necessary note in a song that has no end. The music has faded into the silence of the night. The instrument is tuned, and the player is at rest. You have found the secret to staying calm, you have realized that your soul is the source of its own peace. The masters of the porch go before you into the deep dark, leaving you in the sanctuary of your own making. There is nothing left to do. There is nothing left to tune. You are at home. Sleep now, in the perfect harmony of the soul. We often feel out of control because we confuse doing with controlling. We believe that unless we can dictate the final result of our efforts, our actions are meaningless. This creates a paralyzing anxiety. We become so afraid of the wrong outcome that we stop moving altogether, or we move with a frantic, desperate energy that drains our spirit. But the Stoic practice is the discipline of action, the art of acting with total commitment while remaining entirely detached from the result. It is the wisdom of the archer. You can choose the best bow, sharpen your arrows, and draw the string with perfect form, but once the arrow leaves your hand, it belongs to the wind. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, realize that your power lies in the doing, not in the having. You have done your part for today. The arrow is in the air. You can now lower your bow and let the world take it from here. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to do every act of your life as though it were the last. This wasn't a call to hurry, but a call to presence. When we worry about the future, our actions become hollow. We are physically here, but our minds are already at the finish line, anxious about the trophy. The discipline of action brings the mind back to the hands. It tells us that a small act done with integrity is more valuable than a great success won through anxiety. As you lie still, look back at the small actions of your day, the way you spoke to a stranger, the way you handled a minor frustration, the way you persisted despite being tired. These are your true victories. They are complete in themselves. Consider the duty to the whole. Stoicism teaches that we are social beings, designed to work together like the upper and lower rows of teeth. We feel out of control when we try to be an island, but we find our strength when we act as a part of the human community. Your actions today were not just for you, they were your contribution to the collective. Whether you were building, helping, or simply enduring, you were playing your part in the grand maintenance of the world. There is a deep peace in knowing that you have fulfilled your function. Like a bee that has returned to the hive, you have contributed your drop of honey. Now, the hive protects you. Now, you can rest. Seneca noted that the shortest way to wealth is the contempt of wealth. The same is true of control. The shortest way to feel in control is to stop needing to control the world and start mastering your own actions. Most of our stress comes from unassigned labor, trying to do the universe's job for it. The universe handles the weather, the traffic, and the opinions of others. Your job is simply to act with phronesis, wisdom, dikaiosine, justice, and Andrea, courage. Tonight, resign from the universe's board of directors. You have only one employee, yourself. And you have given that employee the night off. There is a stillness in right effort. This is the effort that is not fueled by fear or the need for ego inflation, but by a simple sense of duty. When we act from this place, we don't get burned out, because we aren't burning our own identity to keep the fire going. We are like a river that flows because it is its nature to flow, not because it's trying to reach the ocean by a certain deadline. Feel that natural, effortless quality in your body now. Your heart beats, your lungs expand, your cells repair, all without your effort. Tonight, let your mind join this natural rhythm. You have done enough. You are enough. Anxiety is the friction of the result. It is the mental noise we make when we try to force the world to agree with our plans. The discipline of action removes this friction. It allows you to work hard and then walk away. Think of the events of tomorrow. You will do your best, fate permitting, and that is where your concern ends. By deciding tonight that your effort is the only metric of success, you make yourself invincible. The world can deny you the prize, but it cannot deny you the fact that you did the work with honor. Rest in that invincibility. We are often held back by the fear of making the wrong move. We stay frozen in indecision, which is its own kind of chaos. But the Stoic knows that there is no wrong move if it is made with a good intention and a rational mind. Even a move that leads to a setback is a move that leads to learning. Tonight, forgive yourself for the moves that didn't work out today. They were necessary experiments in the laboratory of your life. You are not a machine that must be perfect. You are a person who is learning to be wise. The laboratory is closed for the night. The results are being processed in the dark. As you move closer to sleep, let the doing dissolve into being. Your hands are still. Your voice is silent. Your eyes are closed. You are transitioning from the world of action to the world of restoration. In the Stoic view, sleep is a virtuous act. It is the act of caring for the vessel of the soul so that it may be ready for the duties of tomorrow. You are not doing nothing right now, you are practicing the discipline of rest. You are honoring the limits of your human nature. You are being a good steward of your life. The discipline of action has led you to this moment of total surrender. You have navigated the day with purpose, and now you are releasing the rudder. The ship is in the harbor. The stars are out. The water is smooth. There is no more distance to cover. There are no more tasks to complete. You are drifting into the deep, supportive dark, where your only action is to exist. The masters of the porch have finished their lesson on action, and they lead you now into the silence. The world will wait for you. The duties will return with the sun. But for now, you are a soul at rest, a light that has been turned inward. You have played your part well today. You have been a good human. Now, be a sleeping one. Sleep in the peace of your own integrity. Everything is exactly as it should be. We spend our days locked in the smallness of our own skulls, treating every minor tremor in our lives as if it were an earthquake threatening the foundation of the world. We feel out of control because our lens is too narrow. We are focused on the grid in our eye rather than the horizon before us. But the Stoics practiced the megalopsychia, the greatness of soul. They invited us to climb the ladder of the mind and look down from the height of the stars. From this distance, the borders of our anxieties blur and disappear. The frantic pace of the city, the weight of our deadlines, and the stings of our social lives are reduced to the silent, slow-motion movement of a single, blue-gray marble spinning in the dark. Tonight, we are leaving the small room of the self. We are expanding until our breath matches the rhythm of the tides and our silence matches the void between the galaxies. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Asia and Europe are corners of the universe. Every sea a drop. Athos a little clod of earth. The present moment is a point in time." He wasn't trying to make us feel insignificant, he was trying to make us feel free. If our problems are a point and a point, then we no longer need to carry them as if they were the weight of the heavens. When you realize that the universe has been unfolding for billions of years before you and will continue for billions after, the pressure to get everything right tonight simply evaporates. You are a brief, beautiful flicker of consciousness in an eternal dark. You aren't meant to control the cosmos, you are meant to marvel at it. Consider the sympathy of all things. The Stoics believed that every atom in your body was once forged in the heart of a star and will one day return to that same furnace. You are not an observer of the universe, you are the universe observing itself. This means that you are never truly out of control, because you are part of the system that is the control. The same laws of physics that govern the rotation of Jupiter govern the beating of your heart. When you feel overwhelmed, it is because you have forgotten your lineage. You are a child of the stars, made of the same ancient, indestructible material as the giants of the night sky. Rest in your own sturdiness. Seneca noted that the soul is never more divine than when it reflects on its own mortality and the vastness of space. In the dark of your room, you are closer to the truth of the universe than you are in the bright noise of the day. The day is filled with the illusion of doing, but the night is filled with the reality of being. As you lie here, feel the earth beneath you spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, yet you are perfectly still. Trust the physics of the world. Trust the order that keeps the moon in its path and the oxygen in your lungs. You are being held by forces so large they are invisible. You are safe in the grip of the infinite. There is a stillness in cosmic indifference. To the stars, there is no success or failure. There is no too late or not enough. There is only movement and stillness, light and shadow. By adopting this perspective tonight, you are performing a radical act of self-care. You are stripping away the human-made labels that cause you pain. The project that didn't go well today is not a tragedy in the eyes of the cosmos, it is simply a configuration of matter that has shifted. You are allowed to be as indifferent to your troubles as the moon is to the clouds that pass over it. The clouds change, the moon remains. Anxiety is the small view. It is the belief that your life is a solitary island under attack. But the view from above shows you that there are no islands, only a single, vast ocean. Everyone you know, everyone you fear, and everyone you love is part of the same silent, spinning whole. We are all breathing the same air that the Stoics breathed 2,000 years ago. We are all facing the same night. Feel the comfort of this shared existence. You are not a lonely light in the dark, you are part of a boundless, shimmering web of life. You are never truly alone. We are often held back by our temporal parochialism, the idea that this year or this moment is the most important in history. But the Stoic remembers the great year, the vast cycles of time that erase and rewrite civilizations. This perspective is a healing balm for the ego. It reminds us that we don't need to leave a permanent mark on the world to have lived a meaningful life. Your meaning is found in your character, right now. Whether you are remembered for 1,000 years or forgotten by morning, the quality of your soul in this moment is what matters. And in this moment, your soul is finding its peace. As the transition to sleep becomes inevitable, let your consciousness expand beyond the walls of your room. Imagine your awareness rising up, over the roof, over the city, through the atmosphere, and out into the velvet silence of space. Looking back, your life is a single, warm spark in the cool dark. It is small, but it is brilliant. It is tiny, but it is necessary. You are a part of the light that the universe uses to see itself. There is no need for control when you realize you are part of the light. The view from the cosmos has returned you to your true scale. You are large enough to contain the stars, and small enough to be cradled by the night. The uncontrollable world is now just a distant murmur, a flicker of light on a faraway shore. You are drifting in the deep, supportive dark of the void, where there is no weight, no gravity, and no worry. You are merging with the infinite. You are becoming the silence. The stars have finished their song. The cosmos is at rest, and so are you. You have used the perspective of the infinite to find the sanctuary of the present. The masters of the porch leave you here, at the edge of the dream world, where the small you dissolves into the great all. Sleep now, in the heart of the universe. Everything is exactly as it should be. We have reached the end of the porch. For 20 nights, we have walked the path of the Stoic, dismantling the illusions of control and building, stone by stone, a fortress of internal peace. But tonight, we realize that even the fortress was a temporary structure. The ultimate goal of Stoicism is not to separate yourself from the world, but to return to your source, to the logos from which you emerged and to which you will inevitably return. We feel out of control because we have spent our lives trying to be someone, trying to maintain a separate identity against the tide of the universe. But tonight, the labor of being a self is finished. Like a wave that finally reaches the shore and dissolves back into the vast, calm ocean, you are returning to the source. You are not losing yourself, you are finding the whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything is appropriate to me that is appropriate to thee, O universe. Nothing is too early or too late for me that is in its proper time for thee." This is the final prayer of the Stoic, total alignment. When you stop having a personal agenda for your life, the word control becomes meaningless. You are no longer trying to steer the universe, you are the universe steering itself. As you lie in the absolute stillness, feel the relief of this surrender. You don't have to be the pilot anymore. You are the flight. You are the air. You are the destination. Consider the Stoic circle. Everything in your life, your breath, your thoughts, your loves, and your losses, is borrowed from the elements. We feel anxiety because we treat these borrowed things as if they were our permanent property. But tonight, we are practicing the great return. Imagine handing back the day's worries to the wind. Handing back your body's tension to the earth. Handing back your identity to the stars. When you give everything back, there is nothing left to be out of control. You are empty, and in that emptiness, you are finally, perfectly full. Seneca reminded us that nature intended that we should not need much baggage. We have spent our lives packing our bags with expectations, reputations, and fears. We have made ourselves heavy. But the source is light. The source is simple. Tonight, leave the baggage at the gate. You do not need your name, your history, or your plans to enter the realm of sleep. You only need your presence. You are returning to the state of a child, or a tree, or a stone, a state of pure, uncomplicated existence. You are shedding the ego and returning to the essence. There is a profound stillness in the apathy of the wise, not a lack of love, but a lack of friction. It is the state of ataraxia, where the soul is like a mirror, it reflects the world without being changed by it. If the world is dark, the mirror is dark. If the world is bright, the mirror is bright. but the mirror remains itself, cool, smooth, and untouched. Tonight, become the mirror. Let the day's images fade from your surface. You are not the reflections, you are the clarity beneath them. You are the source that remains. Anxiety is the fear that we will lose our place in the world. But how can you lose your place in a universe that you are a part of? Every atom of you is exactly where it belongs. You are held in place by the same gravity that holds the mountains. You are part of a grand, indestructible order. Even when you sleep, even when you dream, you are participating in the life of the whole. There is no outside to wander into. You are always home. You are always at the source. We are often held back by our fear of the dark. But to the Stoic, the dark is simply the rest of the light. It is the place where the visible world goes to be renewed. This night is not an end, it is a replenishment. You are dipping your soul back into the deep well of the logos to be washed clean of the day's dust. Trust the water. Trust the dark. Trust the silence. They are the materials of your rebirth. You are sinking into the very substance of peace. As the final transition begins, the voices of the masters fade. Zeno, Cleanthes, Chrysippus, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus, they have walked you to the edge of the great ocean. They are stepping back now, for this last part of the journey is yours alone. But you are not afraid. You have been trained. You have the armor of reason and the shield of acceptance. You are not walking into the unknown, you are walking into the familiar. You are walking back into yourself. The return to the source is complete. The boundary between your breath and the air has vanished. The boundary between your mind and the silence has vanished. There is no more you in the world. There is only the all. You are a pulse in the infinite. You are a thought in the mind of the cosmos. The uncontrollable has become the inevitable, and the inevitable is beautiful. You are dissolving into the deep, supportive, eternal dark. The porch is empty. The lesson is finished. You have found the calm that exists beyond the world. You have found the control that comes from letting go. The source is here. The source is now. The source is you. Sleep in the heart of the universe. Everything is exactly as it should be. Everything is one. Everything is well. The journey through the porch is complete, but your inner fortress has only just begun to rise. You have learned that you are not a leaf caught in the gale, but the vast, untroubled space in which the gale exists. As you close your eyes tonight, you return to the universe what was always its own, your worries, your plans, and your fears, and in exchange, you reclaim what was always yours, your peace. Tomorrow, the world will continue its chaotic and unpredictable dance, but you awake as the sovereign of your own mind, unshakable by fortune and steady before fate. For now, let the darkness be your sanctuary and the silence be your guide. You have returned to the source. You are safe. You are whole. Sleep now, for in the heart of the cosmos, everything is exactly as it should be.